Section A. 1. There is a third kind of government apart from the central and the state government in Belgium. What is this government known as? 2. Define ethnicity. 3a. The first and major test for democratic politics in our country was options: A. Caste problem. B. Language problem. C. Problems related to union territories. D. Creation of linguistic state. Or 3b. Dash in India enjoys a special status. This state has its own constitution. 4. A good way to measure the quality of life in countries across the world is by comparing their dash. Options: A. Per capita income. B. Human Development Index. C. Gross National Income. D. Sustainable Development. 5. Read the information given below and select the correct option. Mohan is an agricultural laborer. There are several months in a year when he has no work and needs credit to meet his daily expenses. He depends upon his employer, the landowner, for credit, who charges an interest rate of 5% per month. Mohan repays the money by working physically for the landowner on his farmland. Over the years, his debt will: options: A. Increase because of increasing interest and non-payment of monthly amount. B. Remain constant as he is working for the employer but is paying less. C. Reduce as amount equivalent to his salary is being counted as monthly repayment. C. Be totally repaid as he is repaying the debt in the form of physical labor. 6. A potter making pots wants to exchange pots for wheat. Luckily, he meets a farmer who has wheat and is willing to exchange it for the pots. What is this situation known as? Options: A. Incidence of wants. B. Double coincidence of wants. C. Barter system of wants. D. None of the above. 7a. Read the given statements in context of globalization and choose the correct option. A. It is the only way for economic development of the country. B. Interlinks only production-based activities in dispersed locations in the world. C. It has always given only positive results in all the countries. D. Leads to spread of technology, cultures and diseases from a region to another. Or 7b. Liberalization is dash. Options: A. More trade. B. Removing barriers or restrictions set by the government. C. Checking barriers by the government. D. Help by the government. 8. In the question below, there are two statements marked as assertion A and reason R. Read the statement and choose the correct option. Assertion: GDP shows how big an economy is. Reason: GDP is the value of all goods and services produced within the domestic territory of a country in a year. A. Assertion is true, but reason is false. B. Both assertion and reason are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. C. Both assertion and reason are false. D. assertion is false, but the reason is true. Section B 9A. How has federalism succeeded in India? What policies adopted by India have ensured this success? Or B. The creation of linguistic states was the first and the major test of democratic politics in our country. Justify the statement. 10. Money cannot buy all the goods and services that one needs to live well. Do you agree with this statement? Justify your answer with any three suitable arguments. 11. The credit activities of the informal sector should be discouraged. Support the statement with arguments. Section C 12. Read the text given below and answer the following MCQs by choosing the most appropriate option. In a democracy, we are most concerned with ensuring that people will have the right to choose their rulers and people will have control over the rulers. Some people think that democracy produces less effective government. It is, of course, true that non-democratic rulers do not have to bother about deliberation in assemblies or worry about majorities and public opinion. So, they can be very quick and efficient in decision making and implementation. Democracy ensures that decision making will be based on norms and procedures. So, a citizen who wants to know if a decision was taken through the correct procedures can find this out. She has the right and the means to examine the process of decision making. If you wanted to measure democracies on the basis of this expected outcome, you would look for the practices and institutions. There is one respect in which democratic government is certainly better than its alternatives. Democratic government is legitimate government. 12.1. Deliberation and negotiation for taking decision is part of options. A. Democratic government. B. Dictatorship. C. Federal government. D. Monarchy. 12.2. In democracy, the citizen's right and the means to examine the process of decision making is known as dash. Options. A. Suffrage. B. Transparency. C. Plebiscite. D. Legitimate. 12.3. Choose the practices and institutions of a democratic government. Options. A. Regular, free and fair elections. B. Open public debate on major policies. C. Citizens' right to information. D. All of the above. 12.4. The record of democracies is not impressive on which two factors? Options. A. Attentive to the needs and demands of the people and free of corruption. B. Being legitimate and transparent government. C. Having regular and free and fair elections. D. Following norms and procedures. 13. Globalization is defined as the integration between countries through foreign trade and foreign investments by multinational corporations. Increase in foreign trade, migration of people from one country to another, the flow of capital finance from one country to another, and private and public investments from foreign countries all together contribute to globalization. The main reason for putting barriers to foreign trade and foreign investment by the Indian government was to protect the interest earned by producers and small industrialists of our country from foreign competition. But later, It was accepted by the government that foreign competition would encourage Indian industrialists to improve the quality of their products, and removing these barriers would increase trade and quality of products produced in the country. The liberalization of trade and investment policies helped the globalization process because it has helped in the removal of trade barriers. It has made foreign trade and investment easier. The choices of the buyers have also expanded, as now they get to choose products manufactured by not only domestic companies but also by the foreign companies. Competition among traders has resulted in the cheaper price of products. Liberalization has spread globalization, as the decision-making power of export and import now lies with the businessmen themselves. 13.1. Dash has made foreign trade and investment easier. Options: A. Advertisement of products. B. Transportation. C. Liberalization of trade. D. High duty on trade. 13.2. The main reason for removing trade barriers was dash. Options: A. To protect small producers. B. To produce more quality products. C. To increase trade. D. Both B and C. 13.3. What are the steps taken by Indian government to attract foreign investment? Options: A. Special economic zone. B. Reduction in tax. C. Flexibility in labor law. D. All of the above. 13.4. An important factor which enables globalization. Options: A. Increase in production. B. Technological development. C. Placing orders. D. Skilled and unskilled labor. Section C. 14A. Having a good network of roadways helps a country's economic growth. Justify. Or B. The role of mass communication in India has increased over a period of time. Explain in detail. 15A. What are the different forms of power sharing in modern democracies? Give an example of each of these. Or B. Power sharing is the very spirit of democracy. Justify the statement. 16A. Political parties play a major role in democracy. Explain any 5 points to justify this statement. Or 16B. Elucidate some of the recent efforts taken in our country to reform political parties and its leaders. 17A. Give 5 reasons for the rising importance of the tertiary sector in production. Or 17B. Explain disguised unemployment with 2 examples, one from urban areas and other from rural areas.